I am off to a raring start. Oh, good lord. Okay, so let me try that again. Welcome to the Pinfall Podcast. I am your host, Liz. I am not joined by Mark today, and God, I kind of wish I were. But I am your host. Mark is out working, making money. I'm here with an angry Vince McMahon. Um, I don't know what to do because I don't have my room or my lights or my signs or anything that I'm accustomed to. I am looking at a computer. I hope Constantine is sorry that he took you away from me. Or I mean the podcast. Whatever. Also, you can't tell, but my glasses are fogging up at the bottom here for no good reason. Very embarrassing. And I couldn't figure out how to get Mark's chair all the way up. So I almost had to put a stack of books on it like a toddler. Thank God I didn't have to do that. Instead, I texted Mark and found out how to do it. So I don't know how to transition into anything without my signs. I'm just gonna say, now the news. I don't like doing this. First piece of news. Our lovely housemate Eldon bought these 16-ounce cans of Schofferhofer grapefruit beer. So I'm going to be drinking that, and I got my Stone Cold Steve Austin beer, because I need to be drinking something to do. And on that note. So first piece of news is, we'll get into the frustrating news last. There's only 3 pieces today, unfortunately. But the first one is that the WWE announced that they signed Samantha Irvin. Don't know who that is, but she is a singer and a flautist. And she has been on America's Got Talent and I Can See Your Voice and sang the national anthem at a Major League Baseball game. I don't know what this means. I read the whole fuck. She's gonna be ring announcing for 205 Live now. Yeah, new flute gimmick. It's the Orchestra of Destruction except ill. Like kind of like pausing because like normally I pause because Mark will laugh at my joke. I'm not here to laugh at my jokes. But she's gonna be ring announcing for 205 Live now, so that sounds fun for her. At first, because she was standing on top of the NXT mat, like at the end of the ramp, I thought that she was taking over for JoJo or Alicia, not JoJo, Alicia, and I was gonna have a moment, very angry moment. And then let's get into the frustrating news, which is first Rhea Ripley. So her booking plans have kind of been revealed, and I sort of feel like this means they won't be her booking plans for much longer. But apparently, obviously she came out, she was a heel. Sorry. Cat just yelled at me. But apparently, after last night, and I don't know who's saying this or how they're getting this, but apparently after last night, after Rhea teamed with Nia and Shayna, it came out that apparently they're pushing her. Like they made people like the Thunderdome people cheer for her when she came out, which is what they do with baby faces. So I'm not sure if that's the plan. They're not like. They're not sure if they're pushing her to be a babyface or if they're pushing her to be an in-betweener. Seems like they've just been pushing her to be a straight-up fucking heel, so I'm not sure where that's coming from at all or how they're going to make that turn. Yeah, so, like, you would think that, as Mark said, she had a pose with Shayna and Nia after on social media, Which you would think that would mean that she's a heel, like a heel. But like, I wonder if maybe the WWE was just like, hey, why don't we also make people cheer for the heels? Because then like it's not as fucking obvious and stupid. But that would make sense. So I feel like that's not the case. The cat is also very angry right now. Because Mark is not home and she gets very out of sorts when Mark isn't home. So anytime I put my hand near her, I just get a nasty little burr, which isn't very kind, but I'll forgive you. I'll forgive you this one time. And our final piece of news, and perhaps the most frustrating piece of news. NXT might move back to Wednesdays. So apparently that's something that's in the cards potentially, because the whole reason, yeah, I know. The whole reason is that we're on Tuesdays now is because of NBC Sports closing and NHL has their Wednesday night game slots. However, Turner Sports was reported yesterday as having secured the rights to all NHL shit for the next few years, which means NBC and the USA Network don't have those rights, which means that the Wednesday time slot is once again open. So I'm glad like we got to watch a couple of weeks of AEW. I don't actually think that they'll move it back. I think that ratings have been really good on Tuesdays, and I feel like now that they're not competing for time, it doesn't make sense to go back. Doesn't seem very smart, in my opinion. Yeah, they've been setting record ratings lately, and both AEW and NXT have been benefiting mutually. And if their whole thing is like, well, we're not actually in competition with, then they probably wouldn't move it back to Wednesday. And USA Network should probably see that. Moving it back to Wednesday would just mean a tanking in ratings again. I don't know. I saw the headline and I was like, okay. But that's our news. I guess we'll move on to the show. Fucking miss my signs. I miss having a sign. So we started tonight with Dakota Kai versus Mercedes Martinez. Right off the bat, just as NXT always does, as we launch right into a match. Last week was like the first time in a long time that we haven't had that happen. But right off the bat, we're in the match. So Dakota gets an arm sub on Mercedes. Mercedes fights back with some body shots, gets a side headlock takedown on Kai. Kai applies the head scissors on Mercedes, who gets free after like pivoting her neck around like a fucking weird ass owl. And once she's free, she slaps the absolute piss out of Kai. Just wails on her. One hit, two hits. Me hitting you, you hitting the floor. And then hits her again. Mercedes then grabs Kai out of the air by her leg, and this was something I didn't know if it was actually supposed to happen, because Kai looked like she was supposed to jump over Martinez, and then Martinez did not make the, like, there was no clearing of it, and it looked very fumbled. Still good. But Mercedes grabs Kai out of the air by her leg, unleashes a big suplex, holding literally just Dakota's biceps. Then clotheslines her. We get a spinebuster to Kai. Kai counters Martinez with a DDT, slings her into the corner, hits her with a kick across the face. Kai then starts choking Martinez out against the ropes. We get a slap to the side of the face of Kai. Kai then hits Martinez with a nasty fucking backbreaker over her thigh. We get an arm sub on Martinez, who eventually gets free. We get a nasty little kick to Martinez. She goes for another boot across the face of Mercedes, but Mercedes avoids it by going to the apron. She starts punching Dakota over the ropes. She gets Kai up top at this point. Kai then beats Martinez back with a hard elbow, couple hard elbow strikes. Martinez then lifts Kai by her little arms. A nice little T-pose, I guess, on her back. And fucking pancakes her ass. It's not really where it ends. We get a drop toe hold that sends Martinez into the buckles. Kai gets back out on top again, socks Martinez. Kai then throws Mercedes from the ring post-commercial break. Martinez punches her, drives her into the apron, throws her back in the ring, and Mercedes then meets a kick to the face on her way back in. A barrage of more kicks, some double knees to the face. Martinez then is met with the final blow. The knees to the face were the final blow. Before the cover, Martinez manages to get out of the cover, starts punching Kai in the midsection as Kai punches her in the face. We get a headbutt to Martinez, and she just fucking jacks Dakota as Dakota rebounds off the ropes. Just fucking clobbering time. It was fucking nasty. Then it's Chop City in the corner to Kai. We get a double underhook suplex once and twice and a third time. Then we get a DDT to the arm of Kai. Kai then goes to ringside. Mercedes follows. Mercedes and Raquel sort of have a little interaction, a little face-off. And Raquel swings on Martinez while the ref is distracted. We then get a knee strike under the jaw of Kai once Mercedes is back in the ring. She goes for the fireman's carry takeover, but Raquel Gonzalez says enough is enough. Interferes. It's a DQ. She tosses Mercedes into the barricade, fucking demolishes her ass, sends her into the post, and then lawn darts her into the barricade again. But, and this is because Mark has gotten into my head, afterwards, Raquel stood tall. So I think this is a great time to test out the theory, the Austin theory, of whether or not it means anything. It's something I'm interested in now. So, wonder. After that, though, we have Ember and Shotzi with Miss Mackenzie. Mackenzie's asking about Candice and Indy. They say, we've got Robert Stonebrand to deal with. We don't have any reason to be interested in Candice and Indy right now. Ember jokes that they've lost their way. But then they're presented with flowers. And they're like, what the? Thanks, Mackenzie? And Mackenzie's like, that's not for me. And then Frankie Monet comes out of nowhere. Because they're really pushing her now. And Frankie's like, oh my god, like, that's so sweet. Like, who are they from? And Shotzi and Indy are like, Shotzi and Ember are like, we have no. So she takes the card out of the flowers and reads it, and apparently it's from Dexter Loomis. Dexter Loomis, and now neither woman wants the flowers. So they kind of toss those back and forth. And it kind of leaves us like, Dexter Loomis. It kind of leaves us like wondering, did Dexter actually send the flowers, or is it all a ploy? We all know the fucking real answer, but then we're brought right into a promo that I didn't know where the fuck it was going for the longest time. Mostly because we got two parts, and the first part was in the beginning, and the second part was right at the end. But we're at a jewelry store, and who but Cameron Grimes walks in. He's here to shop for someone special, himself. And he wants the most expensivest, shiniest, blingiest watch in the world. I refuse to do the To the Moon. I have standards. But then we just get a weird little to be continued. Like, that's all for now, folks. I was very confused by that. There's no room for me to take a pause for myself. And then after this, we get probably my favorite promo. Perhaps my favorite promo. They try to segue into me taking sips of alcohol. We get grizzled young veterans. standing out in the middle of the ring. And no, Mark, before you say it, I will not be doing it. I will not do their thing. I don't have that kind of faith. Sorry. And I'm sorry to everybody else that's watching. My deepest apologies. WWE Creative said, I just want to apologize to all those Make-A-Wish kids who got a goodie trash bag from Mark Carano with Dana Brooke merchandise. So sad. That's so sad. Hopefully they're treated better than that. There you go, Marcus. Thank you for getting your grizzled young veteran soon to be recognized even from a distance. James Drake looking like an absolute king, even though his suit jacket does not fit him. Gotta go see a tailor about that one. Like he was looking cute with like his long hair, all pulled back. No, I'm a simp. What can I say? I should not be allowed. They're pissed about the 6-man tag match. They're mad because it seems like MSK refuses to put their titles up against Grizzled Young Vets, and they want a chance at those titles because they feel like they deserve that chance. And Zach Gibson says the titles don't make the men make the titles. I still don't know what that really means, like, when you really think about it. Because MSK are, like, nice. They're also good people. I know. Thank you, Miriam. James Drake, for once, not drenched. Like, he just came in from tropical storm. Loved it. Blown dry, fluffy. Chef's kiss. And then, because we're never gonna get closure to Timperium, Tommaso and Tim come out, and I have to admit something that I didn't want to admit out loud for a really long time, but I think it's best if I do it. Mark isn't here verbally. Like, Tommaso's shirt, his new shirt. I like it a lot. Like, I wouldn't buy it for myself because it's Tommaso. I just like the blue and the orange a lot. I think it looks really cool. And I think it's because the first time I saw the shirt, it was on Tim. And so now my brain just sees that every time I see the shirt. I'm like, that's pretty. But that's my admission for the day. Now I'll go back to hating him. But I sort of smelled a match happening, and I didn't fucking get it. Tommaso starts talking shit. I don't know what Tommaso said. I did not listen to him. I know that was, like, supposed to be my job tonight, but it was very difficult. And then Tim gets the mic. And Tim references something that happened on NXT UK, which is, I don't even remember what it was. Like, God, now I can't remember the actual song that he sings, but Timothy sings. He sings, "If you hate Gibson, take your shoes." Which, rightfully so, Mark and I had no clue what that meant, so we looked it up. We understood it was an old soccer chant that was repurposed for NXT UK to make fun of Zach Gibson. Anyways, Tim Thatcher, king of my heart, starts singing this with just glee on his face. And I felt so good. He was back. He was having a good time in spite of everything. Bless his soul. And so they rightfully get their shoes off and attack Grizzled Young Vets. And although it was not mentioned, I still smell a match. I will not stop until I get that match. Thank you. Then we move into a promo. This is going to be the quickest fucking episode in the world. Then we move into a promo with Drake and Killian Dane. Killian is asked, Killian asked for the match. And Drake Maverick is mad about this even happening. Drake says, in, like, what is perhaps the sweetest, insecure manner, but Drake says, like, he knows Killian's either going to turn on him once they get in the ring, like Imperium's gonna attack him and Killian's gonna join in, or Killian is going to abandon him ringside. And Killian says, well, you just gotta have faith. And Drake Maverick is flustered because now we're quoting George Michael and it's Killian Dane and nothing makes sense. And then we jump from that into Xia Li, which I don't know if I'm crazy. So the Xia Li promo was done entirely in, I believe, China. So I don't know what she said. There were no subtitles or anything, and I don't think I was supposed to know what she said. But it's her face, all darkness around it on one side, Bo's face on the other side, and then in the middle, we get this character that I don't know if this is supposed to be, May? Forgot the name of this woman now, and Mark would have known it. Or the woman that Karen, is playing, Karen Q, I think. I don't know if that's who that was supposed to be, or if that was a brand new character, because it didn't look like her at all. So, I don't know. I was sort of left in the woods on that one. If anybody else knows what the fuck happened there, I'd love to know. But anyways, would be interesting if there was a new character introduced on that side of things. Or if they're just setting up for, was it Mei Ying? Mei Ying. Yeah, I think it was Mei Ying. If they're planning for Mei Ying to go into fighting again, that'd be cool. That's what that was about. But I don't think it was. Anyways. Then we have a Swerve promo. Swerve is still in the studio. Swerve never leaves the studio. He calls Leon a coward. And then he says, you know, he had to think about it and realize that he's proud of Leon. Because Leon just will not stop. No matter where he goes, Leon won't stop. And he proposes, because a ring can't contain Leon's rage, that they should have a Falls Count Anywhere match. I love a good Falls Count Anywhere match in NXT. Which we immediately are told right at the bottom of the screen that this is happening next week. Immediately told that. So, that's something I'm excited about. Then we have fucking Toni Storm versus Zyda Ramir. So, Toni starts by getting a mic. She says, you know, she made Zoe Stark famous by feuding with her. And this whole time, poor fucking Zyda's just standing by, like, what the fuck? Like, why am I getting fucking shit talked to at the same time? Toni decides that her next chapter in her career is Toni Storm and Zoe Stark. And then she calls Zyda a rookie. Zyda's still just fucking standing there like, I don't know what I fucking did, but okay. And then we begin the match. So we get a boot to the face of Zyda and a kick as she slings Zyda into the ropes. There's a hard punch to the face of Zyda and then a big toss and another one. We get a sliding clothesline to Ramir, and then that sends her kind of neck first into the ropes. Miriam, thank you. Miriam said Toni Storm versus Zoe Stark will finally give us Toni Stark. And I think that's probably what we deserve at the end of the day. So we get a backbreaker to Ramir before Toni bends her over her thigh and is like, Zoe, this is gonna be you. Blah, blah, blah. I don't like Toni. I don't know why I don't like Toni Storm, but I just do not like her. And I feel bad not liking her, but I don't know. Knowing me, though, like, in 3-4 months, I'm gonna be like, I love Toni Storm. I've never remembered a time that I didn't love her. That's exactly what happened with Shane. Anyways. So Zaida fights free of this hold. She gets uppercut and then thrown into the corner where Ramir actually hits Toni with her boot. Sends it to her face, unleashes a bunch of body shots on Toni. Storm ducks 2 enziguri attempts, which, like, endurance for one enziguri is pretty impressive to me. Having the endurance for one enziguri and then another enziguri that are still failing is... I don't get it. That fucks me up, actually. It's too powerful. Toni then suplexes Zaida, decides against doing the Storm Zero, instead decides to continue her assault on Zaida, and then Zoe Stark comes out and smiles at the top of the ramp, distracts Toni. Zaida gets up, punches the shit out of Toni Storm, and then this bitch decided, match number 2, I'm gonna make everybody think I'm about to kill myself by executing a really impressive, in my pretty... My bar is relatively low, but a pretty fucking impressive shooting star press, which you don't see very fucking often, because 9 times out of 10 it looks like somebody's about to kill themselves. But she hits that out of fucking nowhere and rightfully wins. Not only that, but like my heart as well. She came out in that first match against, what was it, Kansas and Indy, I think? Was it Shotzi number? I don't remember now. But she came out in that match and I was just like, that's pretty fucking impressive. Like, I mean, it was her and another girl. And I was like, wow, NXT does it again. Impressive women. I'm satisfied for the rest. But then, like, match number 2, she decided to, like, really off, and I was like, oh, you, like, got your ass kicked for 90% of the time. And now you come through with this shit? Like, okay, alright. I guess I have to be excited for the future now. Which I am. I don't mean that to be mean. I am excited for the women that are coming up. And I guess the men. So then we have a promo with Legado. And I have a problem with this promo because it reminded me that Mendoza has a voice. And he started talking. I'll get into it, but he started talking and like my brain went to mush. Everything turned off. There were no brain cells. It was just crickets. So Santos says if it weren't for MSK, they would have put Kushida in the hospital last week. And then Mendoza, Wild said something. I missed what Wild said. But then Mendoza mentions how, you know, I think Wild said, like, well, we're going to make Kushida pay for what he did last week. And then Mendoza says, you know, we're also going to make MSK pay for getting the titles. And they're going to reclaim what belongs to them, basically. And then we have to take a little sigh because Mackenzie and LA Knight is next. Once again, I'm not doing the LA Knight thing. There's just some things that only Mark. Unfortunately. But apparently LA Knight says, you know, everybody is not talking about Kyle and Adam. They're all talking about LA Knight. That's it. That's what we're all talking about. You know what? Fine. He's right. LA then says, you know, I took out Dexter, and then kind of turns to the camera and he's like, and Indy, you know, Dexter might look cool and all that, but like, I'm LA Knight. Starts flirting with her. Says one of the most repulsive lines I've ever heard come out of a man's mouth, which was that Indy felt a tingle in her loins for LA. Which even just saying that, I feel like I need wash my mouth out with soap. And then LA walks off. And then we get Everrise. And they said, Liz writes for one evening. Because I got basically everything I needed tonight besides Tyler fucking Rust. Whatever. I'm never gonna get everything. I don't know whatever I said. It was something stupid. But they had their little mugs, and Chase Parker was looking like a sweetie. And Matt Martell was there. It's good. I don't know. I genuinely did not take a single note on that. I was too busy trying to celebrate getting Everrise. So we then have Austin Theory versus Bronson Reed. So, actually pretty. Before the match even starts, Johnny and Candice glare at Bronson as he goes on stage. Theory comes out of nowhere and he's like, "Hey, why are you guys standing out here?" Which is a good question. But I guess he doesn't like realize that like they all have to walk out for their match together. I don't know. I don't try to understand what he thinks half the time. But they all walk out. Indy is pouting because she's upset that Dexter like sent flowers to somebody else, and I was like, "Damn, you know, bitch, I've been there. That does hurt. I get it. It's cool." When the match starts, Bronson shoves Theory into the corner. I'm only just noticing Mark's comment about then she'll teach Tony a lesson and we'll get Zoe 101. And now I don't want to go back to the match, but I'm just saying it's... God damn it. So Bronson shoves Theory into the corner, just kind of drives him into it, and then drives him into the other corner. Theory shoves Reed's face, taunts him. Bronson gets a solid side headlock on Theory. We get some body shots to Reed with the goal of getting out of that side headlock. He realizes the goal. Theory then gets the side headlock on Reed. We get just a little elbow to Theory as he goes off the ropes. Theory then kicks Reed in the stomach, punches him. He goes to run at Bronson again and is just shoved away in midair. And it's one of my favorite things that Bronson does because it's just like, it's such a, I don't know, the way that it translates on camera is just like this like tiny man's like running at him with fury. And Reed's just like, no. It's almost like what you would do with like a volleyball. Like if you were just trying to like save it from going out, you just kind of, anyways. It's not how you should go. In case you want to play volleyball. So we then get Theory is out on the apron. Bronson hip checks him, sending him nearly out of the ring. Theory's feet catch on the rope so that he's just kind of dangling there. Johnny makes no real attempt to get him back in the ring. He just kind of holds him up for a little bit until Bronson has come out to ringside and comes charging at Theory and Johnny, sending Theory flying. Johnny and Reed start exchanging words. There's a huge fucking dropkick to Bronson's head, which I hate complimenting the dude, but like Austin Theory really such a good wrestler, and it makes me so fucking... I don't want to, like, I don't like him, but I also can't, like, watch his matches without being like, fuck. Anywho. So, Reed then charges at Theory, and Theory loads Reed out. Theory then distracts the ref, and Johnny super kicks Bronson. Theory then flies out onto Bronson. Austin is nearly do-si-doed into the stairs. But he stops himself, sends Reed into the stairs instead. We get a kick to the midsection of Bronson, then a stomp to the hand of Bronson. We go right down into a regular old chin lock. Reed powers his way out, clubs Theory. Reed goes to kick Theory, but slips and gets kicked by Theory instead. Theory looks for the senton, but can't achieve it as Reed rolls away. Bronson lifts and drops Austin. We get a big old body slam to Austin, then a choke slam, and then a senton. This all ends once the drop toe hold sends Bronson into the buckles. Then Austin Theory does like this weird rolling blockbuster. Like he somersaults down until he gets close enough and somersaults over. Once again, I just hate how good he is. It makes me just furious. Theory wants to lift Reed, but that's about as silly as it gets. Reed just Samoan drops him. Theory then gets hoisted up and goes up and over, landing a super kick to the jaw of Bronson. He goes to lift Reed again, who handily lifts Austin instead, drops him in a big-ass suplex. And then Dexter comes out, and he's skulking down the ramp, and he looks actually genuinely sorry, and I kind of feel bad for him. He follows Indy all the way until she rolls into the ring. He hops up onto the apron, and Indy tells him to shut up, that he talks too much. Just kidding, I love this. And then Theory is shoved by Bronson, sent spiraling towards Indy, who Loomis shoves out of the way, and then takes the hit himself. This ends in a clothesline to Theory. Reed goes up top, hits the tsunami, and wins. Jesus Christ. That was a match and a fucking half. So then we get MSK and Kushida backstage. Mackenzie asks how they're feeling. They say they're hyped. Wesley wants to tell Kushida how appreciative he is that Kushida is helping them out. Kushida says, let's show them that we are the real champions, and then suggests, instead of, as MSK go to say, MSK all day, he suggests MS Kushida. And I said, you know what? I love it. Alright, so after that, we get Johnny yelling at Austin Theory backstage. Johnny's mad because Austin Theory said that he had Bronson's number. Austin sadly says, and then this gets transformed into Candace blaming Shotzi and Ember for Dexter, making Indy pissed off because Shotzi and Ember have a match coming up, and I guess, like, it's Indy. Take that rage and put it into a conductive outlet. Or a productive outlet. After that, we have goddamn Finn Balor. Finn Balor was in Mexico, having the time of his life with his sweet little smile, just looking like a complete fool. A sweet little fool. You know, the same man that comes out every week, it seems, up until just recently, and talks about how he's such a cold-hearted badass and like he has no emotions and no feelings. That same guy was grinning, cheesing it up next to a statue in Mexico, having the time of his life. And apparently we are going to get Phineas back. Okay. So I'm looking forward. Alright, so after that, we go right into Marcel and Fabian versus Drake and Killing. Dude, I don't think we'll get Finn versus LA Knight, but, like, I'll take it. I'll take it if I can get it. I don't think Finn would have the energy to put up with that. But anyways. That'd be cool. I still don't feel like I know enough about LA Knight's fighting style at this point. Like I haven't seen enough of him because I haven't watched anything old either. So I don't know who I would like be like, oh, this is my dream matchup for. Besides Johnny. I think Johnny's the only one that I can say like I would like to see him fight. But anyways, so we then have Marcel and Fabian versus Drake and Killian. Drake does not trust Killian whatsoever. Not in the slightest. He refuses to turn his back to Killian at any point, but like keeps like trying to make sure that like no one's coming up behind him. And Drake says Killian can start against Fabian, refuses to leave the ring though. Finally, he gets shooed away to the apron. We get a waistlock on Killian. Fabian nearly lifts him. But Fabian just gets wrenched away and thrown across the ring. We get a big fist to the to the shoulder of Killian and then a kick to the midsection. Dane grabs Fabian and Fabian wiggles free, but Dane refuses the body slam that Fabian attempts and uppercuts him instead. Fabian goes right into a shoulder from Dane that just flattens him. Dane lifts Fabian. Marcel gets into a bit of a piggyback position onto Dane. As Fabian gets a kick on the midsection of Marcel, Fabian gets a kick to the midsection on Killian. Marcel's then clothesline from the ring. We get an uppercut to Marcel and then a big body slam. Then Drake Maverick gets in. And he's very hesitant, so Killian basically hoists him over the ropes and tosses him down onto Marcel. Marcel gets Drake up on his shoulder, but Maverick wiggles free, drop kicks Marcel's legs, then his jaw. Marcel punches Drake in the shoulder and lifts Drake, who turns the move around, sending Bartel down into the mat. We get a Hurricane Rana to Bartel, and then Drake goes up top, is grabbed by Marcel, and flung to the canvas. Fabian gets in. We're setting up for the team dropkick, but Fabian manages to get his in. Marcel is slower. Killian distracts the ref, though. Not intentionally, I guess. And this allows Marcel to easily dropkick a prone Maverick. We get European uppercuts to a barely there Drake. They send him into the corner. Drake then trips up Marcel, sends a shoulder into Fabian's torso. Fabian gets in, grabs Drake's feet, gets kicked. Marcel takes Killian off the apron. And then Fabian is stomping Maverick. We get a side, like, it wasn't a gutbuster and it wasn't a backbreaker, but like a side breaker, because he landed on his side to Drake and a drop elbow. And at this point, Drake Maverick is mad. He's also flung, but he gets up, unloads fists upon fists, kick under the jaw of Fabian. Fabian slams Drake down into a spine buster. And Drake is just trying his best to tag out. And Killian manages to load out an interfering Marcel, who's kind of like running at him as if he's going to take Killian off the apron. Loads him out. Fabian goes for another elbow drop, but Drake rolls away. And Marcel pulls Killian off him. And Drake Maverick is backing up towards his corner in the hopes of tagging in. Or tagging out, rather. And he turns and he sees that Killian Dane is not there. One of his fears has now been realized. And this is just in time for Fabian to send a boot to the back of the head of Drake. But doesn't last long, because Killian hits up, gets in the ring, and he's fucking mad. He clotheslines anything that has a pulse besides Maverick. He throws Bartel out of the ring. Then Vic had to like play with my emotions a little bit. By saying Killian Dane is protecting his friend, and I was like, oh, shot to the heart. Drake being unsure of Killian's trustworthiness was just, it made me so sad, and yet like I felt like so soft inside. I was like, he just doesn't want to be abandoned by somebody that he thinks is one of his good friends. So cruel, because like he's been screwed over so many times by other people that like it makes sense that he's upset. Fucking NXT. We get a big right foot that drops Dane ringside, and then Marcel starts yelling in very sexy, angry German voice. To Wolf. Wolf goes and gets a steel chair. I guess that's what Marcel said to do. But as he goes to hit Killian with said steel chair, he can't do it. Something is holding him back in his head. And Marcel, who's busy inside the ring, rolls out like an angry father, starts yelling again in German, and Maverick takes advantage of the moment, dives out onto Marcel. We get a punch from Dane to Fabian. Dane tosses Drake onto Fabian, grabs Marcel, waits a little too long, gets sent into the steel steps. He's whipped into the corner. Drake sends boots to the face of Fabian and a crossbody to Eichner. Rolls through. We get the team offense with the Eurobomb for Imperium to win. And then perhaps the most attractive moment happened. Pardon me. Was trying to hold that tickle back for 90% of this match. Stone Cold beer. I worked out today, so I'm being way too generous with myself. And I've also had a hard week, even though it's only Tuesday. So loud. So, as we always do in Imperium, we walk to the top of the ramp and we do our cute little pose. And then Walter typically takes like one step. Just a little step, because Walter's the ringleader. He is the ring general. It makes sense. It's what he does. Mr. Alexander Wolf, as Marcel is side-eyeing him the whole fucking time, Mr. Alexander Wolf says, yeah, you know what? Walter's gone. It's time for me to step forward. And Marcel and Fabian look at each other and they're like, no. And they both step forward. And the way Marcel fucking, like, just continued to side-eye Alexander Wolf. Oof. I know some people are saying that, we might be seeing the end of Imperium, but I don't think that's the... I think we're seeing an end of Alexander Wolf in Imperium. Or at least that's what it seems like. I just don't think that they would get rid of him. That doesn't... Not with Walter in the position that he's in. Yeah, maybe Walter versus Wolf. Another reason for him to come back from the UK for a little bit. So, say no to that. There's like the cat like fuzz bombed me all out of nowhere. Anyways, I know Walter's like playing the Bobby Fish role again of absentee father that, you know, his sons are fighting, the house is burning down, and Walter's just like, well, there's my dog sitting under my workout equipment. Funny. Anyways. God damn it. That goddamn it is both for Walter and for the fur that is all over. Try my best. But yeah, I don't see them breaking up Imperium. It doesn't seem... After you break up Undisputed Era, like, it seems like a little harsh to be like, and now for the other long-standing tag team. But also, like, Imperium has always kind of been rife with, like, the guys being bitches to each other. Like, I feel like every piece of, like, history that I know about Walter, Tim, and Marcel specifically, and also Wolf to an extent, is that, like, a lot of their history has been just, like, kind of fucking each other over at different points after a couple of years. I could be wrong. I could just be assuming things from what I've seen online. Can't say it hasn't happened before. Yeah, Mark, maybe all stables have to go. Maybe that's the new vibe. I really hope not. I understand that, like, we lost the brand and we lost Yui, but I don't know, man. I don't want to lose Imperium. I'm gonna keep saying that we won't. That's all I know. Because I know Fabian wouldn't side with... He wouldn't pull Roddy and be like, guys, stop fighting. He would just be like, Marcel's right. All I know. I just know that Marcel's right. Like, I don't see him going against Marcel at any point in time. And I don't see Marcel going against Walter at any point in time either. I see Wolf doing that. Alright. Then we have Pete Dune. Just talking shit. Talking a lot of shit for a man who is not around. Pete Dunne will always be my personal punching bag. I am so sorry. But he says, you know, he put out Kushida, he can get the Cruiserweight title. He can get the UK title if he really wants to. He can get the North American title if he really wants to. He isn't even intimidated by Carrion. He can get any title that he wants. I'm like, okay, Pete. Pete, okay. Go for it then. Come to one taping. Just one. One, Pete. Anyways. I gotta say about that. Then we go back to Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes is like, he picks out the watch. He's like, I don't know if this thing's working. And then he says, but it's the perfect one. I don't know. Dude, if Mark just said, that Pete is waiting for Daniel Bryan to come to NXT, and if that is the case, if Daniel Bryan goes to NXT, then fine. I'd be thrilled. But that said, the watch is very blingy in the Cameron Grimes promo, so I guess like it achieves a purpose. And then a mystery man comes out of nowhere, shoves a much more expensive looking watch in Grimes' face, and says, yeah, it's nice, but it's not $1 million watch. And then we pan out, and it's fucking Ted DiBiase, dude. Fucking Ted. Fucking Ted. Out of goddamn nowhere. Ted DiBiase. TDO. You know what, Miriam? I think half of my elation to see Ted DiBiase was thinking that he was dead. I too did not know that he was alive. I had no fucking clue. Thought he had long since passed, but he looks like a really hearty, healthy dude, so I guess we can just call it a Mandela effect. But yeah, I didn't know he was alive. But it was really cool to see him, especially because he was like, a couple weeks ago, he was like, yeah, I'd love to be a part of that. And I was like, yeah, but you never will be. Like, that's always how this shit goes. Like, you say you'd love to be a part of it, and then you aren't. But no, Ted stuck to his fucking guns, dude. Ted said, I'll come out. Drop my name. Miriam says that the darkest timeline is the one where Ted DiBiase is alive, apparently, and unfortunately, it seems like that is the case. But at least we have. I feel like with the way that everything has been going lately, with what happened with Chelsea Green today and what happened with the Young Bucks, because I didn't know anything about the Young Bucks, but all I know that happened with the two of them, for context of what I'm about to say, is that they made jokes about not giving credit to artists. The Young Bucks did, and Chelsea Green didn't give credit to an artist, and then kind of like made a half-assed apology about it. But I feel like the worry that I have with Ted is that I'm going to say, oh man, it was so exciting to see Ted DiBiase. Like, I was so happy to see him. It's so great that he's like functional and like a human still. And then like tomorrow I'm going to find out, well, Ted DiBiase did all these horrible things. I'm going to be like, fuck. Happens every fucking week. I think wrestlers should just be good people. I don't know. I don't think it's that hard. I'm a decent person. It cost me $0.00. In fact, it cost me more money to be a bad person. Anyways, the only thing that's keeping me going right now is me being able to ramble. So, this will be a shorter than normal episode, so it's fine. Anyways, so we go from Ted to what was very confusing and I didn't understand. We were supposed to have Shotzi and Ember versus Aaliyah and Jessie Camilla. I love that their names are. As the girls are walking out, two stagehands come out with gifts for Ember and Shotzi, and Indy and Candice attack them from behind. You know what? Good for Indy. I hope that she felt some catharsis. But they throw all the gifts at Ember and Shotzi, and it's a total beatdown, like almost like a food fight, essentially. And then Robert Stone gets the titles, and Jessie and Aaliyah are like running after him, grab the titles, and there's a lot of shrieking, and the referee looked very confused. I was very confused. And I don't know if everyone else was just as confused as I was, or if I was just like maybe half focusing because I've had to take so many notes tonight, but there was no match at the end of the day. Is really what this all comes down to. And then fucking after that, we've got Adam goddamn Cole. You know, this whole fucking week we've had Adam Cole's gonna break his silence. Adam Cole's gonna talk about stuff again, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know, I don't know if I want to listen to Adam Cole talk. I don't know if I want to listen to him right now. Not interested. I have no interest in what that man could say to me today. Now, if Chugs were doing an interview, different story. I'd listen to Chugs. Listen to anybody that could tell me why I've got so much cat hair on my mouth. If you ever want to get a cat, that's what's coming to you. If it were Sergeant Chugs, I would listen. I would listen and I would pay attention. I'd drop what I was doing. But Adam Cole, yeah, no. I'm not listening to that. I did listen to it though, because I took notes. I crack myself up. I think that's half the battle. So Adam basically says he's better than the entire roster in spite of being not 100% all the time, that he fought with like broken wrist or something and still beat people. And that he decided he didn't want to carry Undisputed Era anymore, and that he was carrying NXT on his back for the last 4 years, and that Undisputed Era turned their backs on Adam and says Kyle isn't ready for a main event spot, because a lot of people were saying was Kyle going up to the main event. Or is Kyle moving into the main event? And that Cross is good, but maybe not great, and that was a very like non-committal attack on character. And then he says finally, because everybody kind of thought that this would prove that he's not going up to the main roster, which I don't. But he says where he goes next isn't anyone's business. He's right. And he's just being a little bitch. He yells at the interviewer for like a solid 2 minutes after the interview is over. And then I guess the word is pan out, or we cut to the interview on a TV screen, and then we pan out And little Kyle O'Reilly watching the he just smirks to himself, like he's kind of pissed off, but like kind of exhausted and kind of cute. Um, but he smirks to himself, like kind of angry about everything, but also not, like amused, I guess. Um, so I don't know if that means like we're gonna get more of this feud. I don't know how they could ever top what they already did, so I'm not sure if that's gonna be the case. I don't know. Also, I keep looking over to where Mark's camera would be for like some reassurance or like a nod or a smile. They've just got angry Vince McMahon. And then we get something that a lot of people are talking about, and I don't know if anybody else saw this, but we get this weird video package, I guess. Marion said if he's angry, then you're probably doing something right, and yeah, I guess that's fair. That's a fair point. I miss the days when I liked Adam. And Kyle didn't look exhausted every 5 minutes. Those are better days. But so after that, we get this thing where it's like all these shots of like UFC kind of like training stuff. And it shows the only thing that like really singles out a person is like a shot from behind of a man walking into like a UFC kind of like style fight ring, fight pit. I don't know what they call it. The octagon. Walking towards the octagon. And it's for something with a logo that says Diamond Mine. And I don't know what the fuck. So, okay, a lot of people were saying that it was either Tessa Blanchard's like first promo. I don't think so, because it really only seemed like they were focusing on primarily men. Like the only singled out shot was a man. I would think it would be a woman if it were for Tessa. But a lot of people are also saying that they think it's the Evolve show, the NXT Evolve show. Which, if that means we get another NXT show, sign me up. It's what we deserve as humans for watching 3 hours of Raw every fucking week. At least just like extra NXT. In my opinion. All right. So right before the final match of the night, I have too many notes on because it was a fucking hell of a match. We have an announcement saying that the women's tag title street match is next week, as well as Leon versus Swerve Falls Count Anywhere match. I am sure we will probably get GYV versus Tim and Tommaso. I'm almost positive that will happen. I'm not sure though. Anyways, this brings us into Legado versus MS Kushida. So we get Kushida start versus Wild. Wild dodges some kicks to his legs from Kushida. We get a sub on Wild's arm. I'm going to try to go through this match at a decent pace, where I'm not going too slow and not going too. I'm going to try. Wild slams Kushida down, dances a little bit, until Kushida pulls him down by his legs with his legs. Fucking incredible. Nash Carter gets in. He moonsaults over the ropes onto Wild, gets Wesley in, who does the exact same. Mendoza gets in. We get Wild and Mendoza doing a Team Alabama slam and team drop kicks to Wes. Mendoza bonks Wes into the buckles, tags Wild in. There's a drop kick from hell, Mr. Wild. And then Nash Carter's back in. We get kick after kick and a double stomp onto the back of Wild, as well as a drop kick to Santos to take him off the apron. Nash bends Wild back while Kushida kicks him. Kushida then handsprings into Wild, who is migrated towards the apron at this point, bumps him into the rest of Legado. We go to commercial break. When we come back, there was an inside cradle to Wild, but he gets up quickly, slams Nash Carter down. And I believe this is where I think might have been. I'll explain later. This would make more sense if there was another person with me, I promise. But with that said, Mendoza gets in, stomps on Nash Carter a little bit. Wild gets back in. There's a punch to the jaw of Nash and a suplex to Nash. Santos then gets in, kicking the shit out of Nash Carter, inverts the shoulder of Carter a little bit, and then gets him into an arm sub. Nash fights free of it, but even in spite of being able to do that, he still gets nearly suplexed. He lands on his feet, though. Then Kushida gets in, and all three men are in. We get the inverted atomic drop to Wild. We get the hip toss cartwheel dropkick to Wild as well. Still the coolest fucking thing that Kushida does, hands down. He falls with the arm of Santos, and then a right hand to the face of Wild and a kick to the arm of Wild. West gets in, Nash gets in, we get the assisted moonsault, Mendoza breaks the cover, Kushida assists in helping both Mendoza and Wild dive out onto, Kushida assists in helping both Nash and Wesley, I don't know why I typed it like that, dive out onto Wild and Mendoza. Santos then pulls Kushida from the apron, throws him through the announce desk, Carter gets shoved by Mendoza ringside, sends him into the stairs, Carter gets shoved by Mendoza ringside. Mendoza sends him into the stairs. I don't think my note was clear there. And then Wesley has also gotten fucked up by Wild somehow. I didn't see that. I don't know what happened. I just saw, like, out of the corner of my eye, Wesley getting clobbered, and I was like, oh. So Lee then takes Mendoza and Santos off the apron. Then just went to the bathroom and made my fucking heart jump. We get a handspring to Wild, but right into a dropkick from... Kushida goes for a handspring onto Wild and gets fucking dropkicked right in the fucking chest. Wesley did that. I'm out of sorts right now. Wes is then tossed into the buckles. He's splashed. Mendoza and Santos tag in succession to do the same thing over and over and over again. We finish with Santos sending double knees into Wes in the corner. Mendoza tags, Wild tags. We get a vertical suplex to Wes from Santos and assisted slingshot crossbody to Wes from Wild. Wes loads Wild to the apron, trips Mendoza, sends him into Wild, tosses Mendoza to the other side of the ring. Santos goes for the frog splash, but Wesley rolls away, saves his own ass. We get an enziguri to Mendoza, an enziguri to Santos. Nash Carter is now alive again, thank God. He gets in. We get a pump kick to Santos, a drop kick from Mendoza to Nash. Kushida finds himself back in the ring. We get a phantom driver to Kushida from Santos. Wild holds Nash while Mendoza runs at him, levels him with a knee strike, and Legado win the match. So the reason I got messed up in the middle of that was because the point in the notes where it said post-commercial break, our cat started having a wheezing fit, which she gets, I think, when she has hairballs. So, me, in all of my knowledge on how to use the TV all on my own, I couldn't pause. So, I just kind of fucked up everything. Went away from, like, the picture on the screen. Went to go help the cat. All the while, I'm just, like, hearing wrestling playing, and I'm like, cat's fine. But my notes, I lost a bit of the show for my notes because, but the cat's fine. And that's what matters. So I've done it. I've successfully run through the entire episode. All on my own lonesome. So now I think it's best of the nighttime. I think that's where Mark would go next. So, we gotta go with promo of the night first, I believe. Our promo of the night. So we have, and I'll run through it like we have done before. Mark does it. So first we have Ember and Shotzi with Miss Mackenzie. Thank you, Mary. So we have Ember and Shotzi with Miss Mackenzie. Yeah, that was good. I didn't think this was anything special. I don't know why Frankie Monet was there. I think they were just kind of using her as like a, hey, don't forget she exists. We just don't have anywhere to put her just yet. So that was kind of confusing, but whatever. Cameron Grimes at the jewelry store, like, it was alright. The first part wasn't anything special, and it was actually very confusing because I didn't know what to do with it. I kind of thought that Karrion Kross was gonna come out. And he didn't, obviously. And then we've got the Gristled Young Veterans promo, which mostly because Tim looked really happy, and I've got full reins of this fucking show now. I can choose whatever I want. Will I turn to people in the chat for best wrestler and match of the night? Yes, I will. But that's because I can't make those decisions, but I can make decisions on promos. And I did like this one a lot because we got James Drake, which I was happy about, and we got Tim singing and looking just absolutely jubilant. And it feels like we kind of got a little movement in at least their story, which we haven't had in a really long time. So I might have to go with that. We'll see. The whole point of this is for me to go through everything. Drake and Killian was heartbreaking and stole my soul for a little bit. But it was really short. Slightly promo was alright. I didn't know what to make of it though. And I hope that we find out what to make of it soon. Swerve's promo was just typical. That's all I can say there. That was I just want Swerve to leave the studio. Go home. Go home for a minute, but it always have to be fire beats. Or whatever people do these days. It also didn't really move anything forward because we still have. It makes me so mad because like I had a lot of hope when Swerve came back that he was going to add something, and then he got so. He was forced to be stagnant because of the whole Legato feud. Because I don't think they knew what to do with Santos at that point. So. That's my opinion. Self right behind me and I can hear it. It's very loud. And then we've got Legato, which I would totally choose just based on the fact that Mendoza's voice is soothing to the soul. But I probably won't choose it. It was just a pretty basic Legato promo. Nothing crazy about it. And then we've got Mackenzie and LA Knight, and I'm going past that because I'm not giving LA Knight the time. He's such a goblin. He's a goblin man. I refuse. But like I would give it to Everrise. I would. Because that's the pot that I want to stir tonight. Alright, so after that, what do we have? MSK and Kushida. I don't really know about that one. And then Johnny yelling at Austin Theory. Can't choose it because to choose anything with Austin Theory. I'm not counting Finn Balor as a promo because I can't. Pete Dunne talking shit was just Pete Dunne talking shit. It was nothing special. He does this all the time. I just want to see him wrestle again. I don't think that's asking for much. And then we've got Cameron Grimes with Ted DiBiase, which is like another one where I'm like, maybe. Possibly. And then we've got Adam Cole's interview. I'm not giving it to him. He gave me nothing. He gave us absolutely nothing, and we just sat there and said thank you. And I'm going to continue to say thank you because he's my favorite idiot, but like, not giving this one to him. No. No way, Jose. So I'm torn between Ted DiBiase and him and Tommaso and Grizzled Young Veterans. And unless somebody changes my mind in the next 3 seconds while I scroll my notes back to the top so I can start doing Wrestler of the Night, I'm gonna probably go with Tommaso. Hello. Yes, it is. Here's a cat. There's a cat who's been very needy because there's one half of her life that is not here to give. So now I'm at the top of my notes. What are you saying Mercedes for, Mr. Mark Cameron? Mercedes didn't have a promo. Silly man. I'm going with Tim and Tommaso versus Grizzled Young Veterans. I probably should write this down somewhere because I'm probably not going to remember. But Mark doesn't in easily reachable fashion. See, this is the problem with somebody who's very organized. Unlike me. Mercedes, I don't know what that means, Marcus. So let me write that down. All right. So after that, we now have Wrestler of the Night. So for Dakota Kai versus Mercedes Martinez, I'll give it to Mercedes. Mercedes was nasty, and I like that. It scared me. And she does not hold back when she slaps a bitch, so I give it to her for that. Then a lot of promos tonight. Toni Storm versus Zaida Ramir. I'm giving it to Zaida. And this has nothing to do with my personal feelings about Toni Storm. I'm giving it to Zaida purely for the Shooting Star press because that shit blew my mind, and I just it's come out of nowhere and stolen my soul. I love it. I do feel bad that Toni has gotten no wins. Kind of. We then have Austin Theory versus Bronson Reed. I can't possibly choose Austin Theory, even though that dropkick was amazing. So I'm gonna go with Bronson Reed. I showed tonight. I can do what I want. I know Mark probably would have chosen all, but I can't. We then have Marcel and Fabian versus Drake and Killian. I don't know who to choose for this, but I think I know, Mark, I can tell, I can feel this, like, stealing your soul in, like, not in a good way. I keep using that phrase, but I feel like it's, like, sucking the energy from him. I love that. I'm having fun. I don't know. I think I'd give this to... I think I'd give it to Fabian. No one really stood out in this match. My most humble of opinions. But yeah. No. I'm gonna give it to Marcel. I thought Marcel looked really good. Marcel didn't do anything last week, but Marcel looked really nice tonight, and he really sold the Hurricane Rana really well, so. He was also, like, such a fucking shit disturber all night, and I really liked that about him. I thought he did a good job. I'm not counting Shotzi and Ember versus Aaliyah and Mia. So. And then Legato versus MS Kushida. I'm gonna give it to Wesley. I think Wesley looked really good. I don't know how Mark normally does this. Like, I just don't understand how he manages. So I'm gonna give it to Wesley. And I think the person that I'm going to choose for tonight's Wrestler of the Night is Wesley. I'm gonna give it to him. Unless, like, I hear Mark erupt. Marcus? Marcus, just because you aren't here for the podcast doesn't mean you get to throw in random suggestions. My god, man. I'm gonna go with Wesley. I don't know. I liked him tonight. Everything is subjective. Make your own podcast if you don't. Glad you're having fun, Mark. And finally, let's go through our match of the night. I already know what I'm picking, but roll all the way back to the top. I've got 25 pages here. So Dakota Kai versus Mercedes Martinez, it was good. I like seeing women being brutal towards each other. Did not like that it ended in a DQ. Thought that was kind of silly. Not silly. Not like raw silly where like I genuinely sit back and I'm like, this was the stupidest thing that's ever happened to me. Miriam, I am Alexander Wolf tonight. I stepped forward and Mark is just both Marcel and Fabian like side-eyeing one another. Those are his last two brain cells. Listen. I'm young, I'm charming, I'm cute, I've got control. No one can stop me. That's because Stone Cold said so. Anyways. Oh, man. You know what? Give me an LA Knight versus Mackenzie match. She deserves it. She deserves to take LA Knight on. After everything that man has put her through as far as interviewing is concerned, and the fact that that interview put her in a position to have to interview Everrise, who I love, but I would never want to interview. Miss Mackenzie deserves at least one match where she can get a good couple of hits on. Either way, I feel like I'm peeking. What's your suggested tag match, Marcus? Oh no. So Marcus suggested a tag match between Mackenzie and Willie Reeves versus LA Knight and Adam Cole. The only way that I can totally accept that would be if it was a street fight. Oh yeah, Everrise should also be involved in that just because they're on everyone's nerves. And that's fine. But I feel like it would have to be a street fight. Like, the only way to get Willie involved would be for it to be a street fight. It would have to be. Anyways, before I get totally sidetracked here. So yeah, Dakota Kai versus Mercedes was really good, but I didn't like that it ended in a DQ. Only because it left me wondering, like, oh, if nobody really wins, then how do we determine whether she can fight Raquel or not? Which, she is fighting Raquel next week. I guess they decided it. But then we have Toni Storm versus Zeta Ramir. I'm not gonna choose. Only because as much as I did love the shooting star press, it was kind of... It was one of those matches where, like, Toni got 1,000,001 hits in, and then Zeta got it, basically, and won. So, it doesn't feel right. I still think this was a great match. I feel like all of my criticisms of matches should be taken with a grain of salt, because it's like, even if I don't like a match, it was 10 times better than anything we'd ever receive on the main roster. That said, Austin Theory versus Bronson Reed was a really good match. But it's a match we've seen a couple times now. So I don't really want to give it to this because, again, times. I'm just happy that nothing ended in you, and it still leaves me wanting more with the Dexter story. I'm always gonna want more. Then we have Marcel and Fabian versus Drake and Killian. I loved this match. I did. I loved it because we got angry Marcel yelling in German, which was like, oh, suddenly that's something I'm into. But it wasn't my favorite match of the night. It was my favorite match, like, as far as, like, story was concerned, but, like, physically it was a little meh. I don't think meh is the right word, but just physically it didn't quite. I wanted a little more with Alexander Wolf and Killian. I wanted a little more interaction there rather than just because Wolf was the one who decided to make people fight, make Marcel and Fabian attack Killian and Drake. And now all of a sudden he's like, well, I can't hit him with a steel chair. He just can't do it. Okay, sure. Fucking weenie. But I would watch this match all over again just for the sake of listening to Marcel yell. And then getting that side eye again. That was really good. And then finally, I believe, we have Legado versus MSK. Or MSK. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's a good point, Mark. He could not do it himself, and that's why he made Marcel and Fabian do it, and they were both very confused as to why they were doing it. And now the answer is there. So, I guess that's a fair point. Like, if you can send your men out to beat somebody up, you should be able to do it too. I'm gonna start questioning Wolf's character. But I'm gonna give it to you, actually. I am going to give it to MSK and Kushida versus Legado. Just because this match was one of those goddamn matches again. Where I couldn't keep up and I thought it was just a rollicking good time. Call me a Nash Carter Mendoza simp, but I'm gonna choose this. Do I have to give a reasoning? Probably. Do I have one off the top of my head? No. So tired. I went to bed at like 3 a.m. What I'm saying. I really liked this match. I thought it was a really good time, and I thought everybody got utilized really well. And it was just as messy as I expected a match with these guys to be. It didn't disappoint, and it didn't overwhelm. It was just nasty fucking hit after nasty fucking hit. So, I'm gonna go with this one. And now, Liz, will you read it back? I would love to, Mark. So our promo of the night is Grizzled Young Veterans versus Timothy and some guy that comes out with Timothy occasionally, primarily for Timothy's singing. Our wrestler of the night is Wesley, and our match of the night is Legado versus MSK and Kushida. Folks, I've done it. Officially done it for the second time. I have managed to do the Pinfall podcast without Marcus. God, I miss him. If you tuned in tonight, thank you so fucking. Like, you don't understand. Thank you. It a lot. Me. I get very nervous to do these things on my own, so when you guys tune in and make me feel like actually listen to me talk, makes me feel really good inside. Sort of like I have serotonin. So thank you so much if you tuned in tonight. And if you tuned in the future and you actually sat through the entire episode of me just chattering, thanks for that too, because like God bless you. please tune in on Friday. Mark will be back. We'll be discussing SmackDown. We will be discussing my car's oil change that needs to happen, and we'll be discussing my car's potentially flat tire. So 3 very eventful things. Just kidding. We'll be talking about SmackDown. So please tune in. It'll be really fun. It's always fun on our Friday episodes because we have nothing to fucking do and no commitments the following day. And this time we actually have no commitments the following day, so hopefully SmackDown's actually fun and we aren't crying about Daniel Bryan. Alright, so I'm gonna try to do the part that Mark does that I just don't understand how to do ever. If you liked what you saw and think you would like it even more if there were 2 people, well, you're in luck because there's normally 2 people. So like and subscribe, or like and subscribe is YouTube. I've been watching a lot of YouTube lately. Click the follow button is one of the things that Mark would say. Click the follow button. Subscribe if you want to. I'm not gonna say anything conniving to get you to do. Subscribe if you want to. You get some fun emotes, depending on the tier you subscribe to. One of them is me making a funny face. I think that's tier 1. You want to be able to react with me. Welcome to. If you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And turn the notifications on, I guess. I guess that's something that people also say. On YouTube, we are the Pinfall Podcast. On Twitter, we are at Pinfall Podcast, as you can see at the bottom of the stream. And if you want to follow Mark because you haven't, just because, like, I mean, you want to follow him even though you haven't seen him talk at all today. He is at the Mark Cameron, Mark with a C, don't screw it up. As you can see, I always fuck it up. It's over there. And then if you like me and my not knowing my lefts and my rights while I do this in the camera, then there. I'm at Eliza Lane 23. You can follow us on Twitter. And if you follow our Pinfall Podcast Twitter account, we very often are we very often live, especially when Mark is around. He does live tweet. I don't. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed tonight. I feel like Mark always says more. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed tonight, and thanks for joining us. Join us on Friday. I won't be in this. All right, bye.